YouTube today is full of crazy builds. $1 million Bugatti, six-figure restoration, stuff most of us can only dream about, and people who make those projects extremely talented. But here's the question I've been asking myself for quite a while. Where do you actually start? When you don't have the budget, the experience, tools, or even a car you can sell when you're done. And I think I finally have a solution. And yes, this is my solution. And it's actually a free project car. But first, let's go outside for a second and I will introduce you to this. Yes, this is Toyota Camry. You've heard the legends about these things, bulletproof engine, run forever, all that, and yeah, that's mostly true. But this one, it's been through a lot for past few years. She's dirty, paint scratched everywhere, wheels most probably seen every curb in the city, and then there is the inside. It has turn leather on steering wheel and wood section at the top, slippery when it's hot, freezing cold in winter, and just look dated. Then there is serious situation. This ancient unit barely works, and of course it doesn't have navigation or CarPlay. And cherry on top, wood accents everywhere. Look, I'm sure in 2007 this was peak luxury, but now it looks so dated I really hate it. And not to forget, there is dirt and dust everywhere. So there is the catch. Yeah, it's free project car, but it's actually owned by company I work for, so it means I can't sell it, I can't flip it, I can't make any profit of it. And it means whatever I spend should be worth it just for me. But it's actually the biggest problem solved and I have a plan. I'm going to try and refresh entire interior of this car using 5 simple mods with maximum budget $200. And the best part, all of them doable without any specific tools or any serious knowledge. And I'm actually curious to see, will it work or I will mess it up. Original plan was to start with most important modification, but it's still not right, so I should change plans and instead start with steering wheel. And I have two upgrades for it. First, there is new cover kit together with the thread and needles, and then there is the set of new buttons. I actually done it before, maybe 6 years ago one time, but I have some things which worried me. Let me show you. The wood section here is actually way thicker than the rest of the wheel. And my original idea was to leave the factory leather underneath to hide the transition. But as you can see, the leather is completely gone. And if I leave it like that, I will feel it through new cover. So the old leather has to go. And most probably this transition would be rough anyway, but I guess there is only one way to find out. Well, enough talking, I pop the hood and quickly disconnect the battery. Then started cutting the old leather, but quickly realized I had a problem. To finish the job, I actually needed to remove the buttons, which means the steering wheel has to come apart. So I turned the wheel upside down, and here's two plastic covers from each side, so I removed them. Then unscrewed two bolts underneath. Just like that, airbag module is loose, but there is still two bolts which hold in the buttons, so I removed them as well. Then I started to remove the buttons, but unfortunately they didn't want to come off, so after some manipulation I grabbed the trim tool and eventually it came loose. And while I was disconnecting the wires for the buttons, I realized I broke two plastic clips underneath and they stuck in the steering wheel. And somewhere at this point I realized this car will probably fight me along the way, so I accepted the challenge and finished cutting the old leather cover and start to dig the pieces out with the knife, cause plastic was soft and brittle, it was simply crumbling under the pliers. Then I decided to test fit the new buttons and check if all the connectors were the same. And this is where I made my first rookie mistake. I was doing this late at night and for some reason I got so curious to see how the new buttons would look and check if they working. So I completely forgot that I still had to stitch the new cover and that they were going to be in the way. But even so, new buttons actually looks amazing and now it's time to move to the steering wheel cover. Actually, I'm super excited to finally fix this steering wheel. So at first I stretched the new cover over the wheel and lined everything up. Then I opened the needle and thread kit which came together with the cover and cut about 1 meter of thread. and put it in the needle. After that, I started stitching, and I'm not gonna lie, at first I had no idea what I was doing. I completely forgot how to do this, but after a few stitches, I get the rhythm, and it suddenly becomes pretty easy to do. Once I finished half the section, I grabbed the small hook I found nearby and start tightening all the stitches. And remember my rookie mistake with the buttons? This is where it gets me. Yeah, so I need to remove them again just to keep stitching. So once the first half was completed, I've done the same to the second one. Then I work my way around the wheel section by section. In total, the whole process took me about 3 hours, no rushing, just stitching, tightening the threads, and trimming the excess. And by the way, amount of the thread they give you with this kit probably would be enough for 2 steering wheel like this. So once I finish all the sections, cut the thread, tied all the knots, I quickly assemble back together everything, and it's time to see the final result. So steering wheel is done and it's actually a huge improvement. I like it and it's time to move for the third upgrade, and this would be vinyl wrapping of the old wood trim. So for this upgrade I ordered 2 small rolls of vinyl, basic wrapping kit, and of course I'm gonna need a heat gun. First step, taking apart the central console. So I started by popping off 2 small plastic trim pieces. After that, I unclipped the entire central console panel and disconnected 2 connectors, one for 12-volt outlet and another for the seat heaters. And just like that, the whole console was free to come out. Sadly, my camera glitched out, so the footage where I take the console apart and attempt the first wrap is completely gone. But honestly, this assembly is super simple, just a few screws and the whole thing comes apart. And for the first wrapping attempt, yeah, I completely ruined it. But to be fair, this is my first time ever doing this, so let's just pretend that attempt never happened, and move straight to round 2. So piece by piece I wrap all 3 parts of the central console, and once everything was finally done, I put the whole console back together and reinstall it in the car. You know what? I'm not really happy with the result. Part of it is, of course, my lack of experience, but the second one is the quality of the film. I think it's more suitable for the kitchen cabinets and not for the car interiors. But anyway, I will try to push it as far as I can and finish all the panels, and that's bring us to the upgrade number 4. And this is new gear knob. So I quickly tried to wrap it on the table but realized it would be easy to make inside the car. But right at that moment, finally most important modification arrived, so let's unbox it and check it. I think many of you have probably already guessed what this is. And yes, it's a brand new stereo system with Apple CarPlay. Actually, there were a lot of options on the market, but I chose the one which looked like a factory system because I didn't want something to look like a giant tablet stuck in the middle of the car. I was super excited to finally install it, so I completely abandoned the wrapping project and jumped straight into the installation. So it's time to start taking things apart. And screw 2 bolts in the ashtray module. Then I remove the air vent panel above the head unit, which is held by clips, and disconnect the connectors for the hazard lights. Then center console has to be removed again, so I started by unscrewing the new gear knob, and yes, that took a lot of turns. Next, just like before, I pop the central console out and disconnect everything and move to the ashtray unit, which has also had the connectors, so I disconnect it as well. Then remove the bolts at the top of the head unit and 2 at the bottom, although in my case there were only 3 bolts left. So anyway, after that I removed the entire head unit out together with climate control module, and at this moment I was a bit shocked by the amount of aftermarket wires behind it. So for a second I thought I might have to rewire half the car just to make the new head unit work. But first things first. I start disconnecting everything from the old head unit. Then I unscrew the climate control unit and try to separate them. And of course in the process I ended up breaking two plastic clips in the old head unit because it's supposed to slide sideways. Well, I think we can see the pattern. So anyway, I move everything to the table to assemble it and just look at the size difference. Yeah, technology really moves fast. Alright, so I installed the climate control module back in place, but then the first problem. Even though the new stereo is much smaller, it still didn't fit the frame properly, so I had two options: either cut the frame or bend it some. But before doing anything like that, I just wanted to make sure that the new system actually works. So I decided to connect everything to the new head unit. Then I moved inside the car and started connecting all the cables one by one. And after some time, since everything was connected, so it's time to put the ignition on and actually check if anything works. So moment of truth, and it's actually working. The cheapest unit on the market and it still works. So I play around with the system for a bit just to make sure everything was working, and surprisingly almost everything worked except for the reverse camera. So once again I dove back in the pile of wires, found the correct one from the head unit side and from the car side, quickly plugged them together, and problem was solved. Now it's time to move back to the table, and I decided I will bend the frame and not cut it, just in case. So once I finish with bending, it's time to move back to the car and assemble everything. So at first, climate control module and head unit goes in. Now it's time to put the bolts back in place. But when I was tightening the second bolt, the tip of my screwdriver snapped off and dropped onto the head unit. So I reached with my hand to grab it, and of course, I drop it inside the car. Yeah, so I spent about 10 minutes trying to reach it with my hand and with magnet, but without no luck. So I guess it will be my gift to this car. So let's just forget about it and move on. Reconnecting and reinstalling the air vents. Then ashtray model goes in. Time to put back the center console. The only small issue is that the frame color is slightly different from the rest of the interior, but since the interior is mostly white, it doesn't stand out that much. I guess it's time to move back to the vinyl wrapping. So as mentioned before, I started wrapping the gear knob while it was installed, and this time I tried to use two separated pieces of vinyl to complete the job. So the whole process took me about 40 minutes, and honestly, the final result isn't perfect. I doubt it will last very long, but visually it actually looks pretty cool. But anyway, next I moved to the door trim pieces, and everything was going well at the beginning, but then I overheated the vinyl and completely destroyed the whole piece. And the worst part, I only had enough vinyl for one more attempt. So instead of risking it on the same door, I decided to move to the driver. And since it has more window switches, I figured it would be better to remove the panel completely. So first door light goes out, and then there's two bolts underneath the door handle trim piece, and one more hidden behind the plastic cover inside the door handle. Then there's the clip near the mirror. And finally, I pop the entire door panel loose around the edges. And disconnect all the connectors. Then I move everything to the table, remove the door handle mechanism, and the window switch model. And of course, like it's already tradition, I managed to break all the plastic mounting points. I'm starting to get used to it. But there is nothing that a little good old glue can fix. Well, anyway, let's just focus on the wrapping of this panel. I quickly wiped the panel and once again it's actually started pretty well, but in the end I ruined it again. This vinyl simply refused to follow the curve of this trim piece. And sadly, like I mentioned before, that was very last piece of vinyl I had. So I must admit I was defeated by this vinyl and you should have more skills to do this properly, but it's only one way to get these skills and it's by making mistakes. I don't have any more left, so I will go and order more. So I ordered additional rolls of vinyl and decided it's actually a good time to give this interior a proper cleaning. So I started with session of the vacuuming. Then I clean all the plastic using the Maguire's solution. And once I worked my way around the car, I start cleaning the leather seats. Once I finished, I start to wait when the vinyl will arrive. So, film arrived and it's time to finish the doors. So once again, I disassembled the door panel and this time completely and prepare myself for the wrapping session. I actually took my time to done everything properly, but no matter how hard I try, I still couldn't avoid waves on the vinyl. So I realized the perfect result isn't the case, so I just make some cuts to get at least something. Once I finished, I reassembled door panel back together. And this is final result. And it's time to put it back in place and move to the passenger door. So for the passenger door, I just put the second piece to not waste any more time and vinyl. And now it's time to complete rear doors. I went from this to this, and this to this. Alright, so I finally finished fighting with the vinyl. I'm tired, speechless, little disappointed, and probably slightly sick at this point. But job is done, the interior is completed, And you know what? This was my beginning, my first step. And just like any beginning, this wasn't easy at all. I made mistakes, I have almost no experience, and I tried to do this on a super tight budget. But start is the start, no matter how messy it is. And this was mine. And before you see the final result, let's just quickly check if I stayed on the budget. Okay, so buttons for steering wheel cost me $25, steering wheel cover just $7.60, vinyl wrap including the extra order $25.70, wrapping kit $3.20, new gear knob $6, and the new head unit $97, which bring the total to $164.50. Not bad at all. All the parts was ordered from AliExpress, so the prices was good, although I should have probably ordered more expensive vinyl to not struggle so much. Anyway, interior is done, but the car not even close. And if you enjoy watching me struggling with this, or with English, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Meantime, I will go and sleep. See you guys.